Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card. I am using the Stampin' Up! Mosaic Madness set again today. I've got a vellum sheet already prepared so that I can line everything up just right with my Stamp-A-Magic. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this white piece of Stampin' Up! Cardstock and I'm going to mark the center, which is 2 inches in from the side because it's 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm going to draw this line. And notice I adhered my cardstock to my craft sheet to make sure it didn't move at all. So I'm going to line up this stamp using my Stamp-A-Magic, and I'm going to stamp it in Wild Wasabi ink. And then I'm going to stamp it again so you can replicate these stamps in a row. And that's why I adhered my cardstock to the craft sheet, because I knew I was going to have my Stamp-A-Magic all the way over there and I didn't want to risk moving the cardstock. Anyway, so that's pretty easy. The next step is I'm going to take a piece of scratch paper, which as you can see I messed it up before and it moved. And so that's why I'm not using this one. But I'm using 2 different stamps from the set. 2 I'm using Wild Wasabi, and then I'm going to stamp 2 using Night of Navy, both Stampin' Up! Inks. And then this stamp set comes with a matching punch. And so I'm going to punch these out. And I decided I wanted a little bit more color on the blue ones, so I'm just using the Wild Wasabi that I stamped on the other mosaic and some Daffodil Delight, and I'm just coloring in the center areas right there. I wanted a center because I'm sort of making a little bit of a flower, sort of. Anyway, so I used this little punch from the Itty Bitty punch pack, and it kind of frayed the paper a little bit on the edges, so I ended up having to color it all again. But this is Night of Navy, so it's the same color I stamped those mosaics in. Okay, now I'm going to draw some lines around the edges. And I'm going to use a ruler this time because I want this card to be pretty clean. So rather than hand drawing the lines, I'm going to use a ruler. And then I realized I forgot to erase that pencil line in the middle there. So I'm just erasing that. And now I'm going to adhere my mosaics. I'm going to make a square, and I want to make sure I do a perfect square. And in order to do that, I'm going to take my T-square ruler, and I'm going to adhere them one at a time, just lightly, just in case I have to pick it up and put it somewhere else. And I'm going to do the first one sort of freehand here, just kind of placing it where I want it. And then the second time I'm going to line up the bottom, and I'm going to make sure that they are equal, like as far as distance from the ruler. And what's hitting the ruler, what's not hitting the ruler, however you want to do it. And then I'm going to do it the same way on the one that goes up. At the same time making sure that it's directly across from the other green. And then do it one more time here. And as long as you line them up one at a time on each side, when you're done, you should get a perfect square. This middle piece, I'm just using a glue dot to make sure it stays in place. I'm just rolling it up in between my fingers and I'm putting it in there since it's so small. And then finally for my sentiment, I'm using this Thank You Kindly set, which is a retired set from Stampin' Up, but it's one of my favorites, so if you can pick it up on eBay, it's a great set to have. I do a lot of thank you cards, so it does come in handy. And I'm just going to stamp it right there in Night of Navy. So I'm doing all of these coordinating colors here. And then finally I'm going to adhere it all together. Now I've got this adhering to a piece of 5.5 by 4 1/4 Night of Navy cardstock. But if you don't have the cardstock and you have the ink pad, you can just create an edge using a foam applicator like I usually apply inks. Now, I ran out of tape on my tape runner, which I knew was going to happen. It's just one of those things where it's like you think it's going to happen any day, but then it takes days to actually happen. Anyway, so just adhere that to a piece of folded Nina 4¼ by 5½ inch cardstock. And that's it. It was a really simple card today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.